welcome to the Starlight Ballroom. Hey!
Hello everyone and welcome to Shipwrecked and COMATOSE, the Red Dwarf podcast. My name is Kurt North. Joining me this week is Mark Adams and Colin Jackson-Brown.
Hello.
Hiya.
How's it all going, chaps?
All right.
We've gone through the Jesus phase.
Yeah, I've got another beer.
That's all good. Good to know. But we've gone through the Jesus phase. We're now going to talk entanglement.
It's called Entangled, isn't it?
But we are still talking entanglement, though. It's still quantum entanglement. This is episode 4 of series 10. It aired on the 25th of October, 2012. And again, you've probably seen this 3 times, chaps, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I've seen it significantly more. Let's just dive straight into this. What do you think, Colin, of this episode in general?
So first of all, that kebab is fucking enormous, and I want one.
I do too. It looks well fit.
What about the water-coloured lager, though? That's it's like Tab Cola. Remember Tab Cola?
Yeah, Tab Clear.
I remember Tab. It didn't taste like Coke.
I don't know if I
Tasted
ever
like
had it.
shit.
I remember it existing, but I don't think I ever tried it.
It kind of tasted like Panda Pops, but worse.
But it was a big kebab, and the way it was introduced was great, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, we've all done that with a kebab. Spilt half of it out the side and then picked it up off the floor and ate it any road, haven't we?
I normally have mine on a plate.
Bollocks.
No, I do. I don't drink, do I? So I don't
Of
do
course.
the kebab when you're drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because I don't go out anywhere where I'm out at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning these days. Because fuck that.
So New Year's Eve 1999, right? It wasn't me at my most dignified.
2000 all two at a time. Ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding,
So
ding, ding, ding.
I got so drunk.
I listen to Prince sometimes.
Are you enjoying yourself, Kurt? I got so drunk that I went and got a kebab. Then I yacked, and I passed out with my trousers around my ankles in a graveyard. And when I got woken up by my mates, I was like, I'm hungry. I needed a kebab. Yeah. New Year's Eve 1999 was special.
I'm just shocked about the fact that Mark was there in a graveyard with a fucking shovel. That's why you got your trousers around your ankle in a graveyard.
No, I was having a wee.
Yeah.
At least he's not having a wank.
I thought he was just
Oh, I wouldn't have been able to get it up. I was that
digging
drunk.
someone up.
With what? Digging someone up with my penis?
No, that's why I said a shovel.
But I didn't mention a shovel.
I know, I just added that in there because you're in a graveyard.
Okay. But yeah, the main gist was I got so drunk that I had a kebab, yacked it up, woke up after a kip, and forgot I'd had a kebab and wanted another kebab because I liked kebabs.
Kebabs are good.
Probably spilt some on the floor and ate it off the floor then as well.
Nice, in the graveyard.
Yeah. New Year's Eve 1999, everybody. Don't pretend you were dignified.
I was driving people home afterwards.
Yeah.
I could have done with you as a friend.
Do you know what? No, I wasn't. I hadn't passed my driving test yet at that point. I was walking home. It was 6 months before I passed my driving test.
Did you have a kebab?
I don't remember. I think it might have been a pizza from Ephesus that night.
We always used to go to Imran's for kebabs. He was ace.
I love the fact
on
that...
New Year's Eve 1999 and then yacked his kebab up.
Is that a metaphor? Is that a euphemism? That was more the word I was going for rather than a metaphor.
No.
You didn't yak his kebab up.
I literally hugged Imran. Imran King, his name was.
Scott,
Oh, sorry, have you
when
finished?
Matt did the last 2 episodes, did he derail it this early or did he keep
No.
it on track?
What do you think of this episode,
I
Colin?
liked it. It was good.
Me too.
Okay.
So,
Oh my God. Okay, we are talking about this episode. And you
Yes.
might as well just start with the kebab because that's where we started and that's where we'll finish. Massive kebab, ends up on the counter, gets grilled on the counter. Quite a few explosions really work well.
yeah, it was good
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Really work well. And as I say, the tab lager, which is purely just water. And then life forms are detected. And what I found fascinating with this is that Rimmer doesn't bat an eyelid.
He doesn't start going on about it being aliens.
He does, however, smell the kebab And we've had this conversation about smelling as a hologram. Maybe he can smell when he's in hard light, though.
Yeah. Because he can touch things and stuff, so...
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that'd be weird if he could do everything other than smell. Because he can see, he can hear. Oh, he can't... Can he taste? Yes, because in Legion, he tasted. Yeah, yeah.
That was food made by him by a hologram. It was hologram food, wasn't it?
Oh, it was hologram
it was perfectly
food.
edible for him to eat.
That's true. So maybe he can't taste and smell?
He did then, because he could smell the kebab.
Yeah. But I love his logic and delusion and pettiness and jobsworthiness in this scene, because it's just so perfectly fucking timelessly Rimmer.
It is. It's early Rimmer. It's series 1 and 2 Rimmer. And they're...
But not bothered by life forms.
No, but I think...
Fair.
I think he got a little bit more into that in sort of 2, 3 and 4 rather than series 1. I don't
No, the Quagars was series 1, wasn't it?
It is. You're right. Yeah.
Quagars.
Last week's episode, like I said, seemed like a series 6 style episode. The first few scenes definitely took me right back to series 1 and 2, definitely.
And especially, I'd say, with the health and safety, the protocol 121, that kind of thing about sort of the risk assessments that you need to do, the accident forms.
Yeah.
And it's another way of bringing in like that soft reboot kind of style where you get an explanation about what happened to the crew.
They all got wiped out by you.
It doesn't say twice, though.
No.
You would think they would say twice if that was the canon.
Yeah. They're being a bit vague about Series
Yeah.
8, aren't they? Which is fair. Be vague about Series 8. It didn't happen. Didn't exist.
Crikey TV definitely didn't happen.
And if he is trying to like sort of make sure that doesn't happen again, he's just had Pre do a fairly decent job.
Yeah.
Of X of Red Dwarf.
True.
So there is that element of like sort of, okay, we need to make sure we've got the right systems in place, and here's the accident forms. But I just love the fact that overall that is total undoing by the end of it, which I'm sure we'll get into at the end. But and like you say, like the noise I think we'll hear in Dear Dave, I think it is, where it's like, what's that noise? It's you. Stop talking. You're doing it again. Stop talking. It's that kind of feel to it as well, which I quite like. That gives us the general idea that he is again, going back to that idea that Rimmer is in charge, because he's going, and who's in charge of the HSE? It's me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Going back to what we said last week about, it just seems to have that kind of vibe of power dynamic in it again, which is interesting. But moving on to the cat. The cat is going around the decks trying to catch Space Weevil.
Full on Series 1 cat. The way he's moving is absolutely Series 1. And it's brilliant to see. It's great.
And Danny John Jules hasn't lost a step. And let's be honest, he's 30 years old. No, at this point, 25 years older, roughly.
About that, yeah.
And
88
just
wasn't
remarkable.
it? Series 1.
Then when they have the coincidence talk, it's brilliant. It's just brilliant. It's exactly the kind of, let's do a weird sci-fi thing, put it into a sitcom and make it funny that makes Red Dwarf great. And it's just great.
And talking about that kind of thing, I will point you in the direction of the Church of Ruby Road.
Fuck.
Because it's all about coincidence and stuff, isn't it? And it's the amount of coincidence that actually pull the Church of Ruby Road, isn't it? That's what it's called. There's no goblins, but the concept is still the same, isn't it?
Yeah, it's similar.
Anybody not aware, that is the Christmas episode of Doctor Who that was on the other week.
Yes. And had we not done this episode up until like now, it would have been quite. It was like, oh, that's fresh in the mind.
A coincidence.
The kind of coincidence. Yeah. Exactly. With heightened emotions, and I can pretty much rhyme off with them that synchronicity bit. Synchronicity.
You can rhyme it off with them, you just can't fucking pronounce it.
What a weird coincidence. Hey, we both said that at the same time. And
that kind of wordplay goes back to probably way further than this, but it's a proper comedy trope that there's that Two Ronnie sketch where you've got the two of them on the payphones and it's like they're having a conversation, but they're having two different conversations.
Yeah, or the one where they're answering the last question. That
Exactly,
just answered,
yeah, the
like,
mastermind, yeah.
Which they did in Future Echoes.
Yeah, Arthur Koestler's Roots of Coincidence is real.
It is real, yeah.
1972 it was released, and it's referenced in V for Vendetta. Sting was a massive fan of it as well, which is why there's a Police album called Synchronicity. Ghost in the Machine, an earlier Police record, is also named after an Arthur Koestler book, which he didn't name it after an X-Files episode from the future, from when he...
But the Ghost in the Machine is kind of like synonymous for that. It's a known thing, Ghost in the Machine. So
quick update on Mullets Galore from last week. My brother has read the message and left me on red.
Going, what the fuck are you on about, Mark?
He grew up and like got married and had kids, and I became a queer man child. So, you know, that's probably why he ignored it. He probably had to deal with like actual grown-up shit.
I've got married and had a kid, so that does not mean you have to grow up, because I fucking haven't.
Fair. He did, though. He's like super sensible these days. I don't think he's watched Red Dwarf in years.
Lister's lost Starbug.
Yes.
There hasn't been a life form in the last decade, which is brilliant. Just the fact that I didn't know this area was so like populated.
What I like about that is it says 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's about how long it's been since there's been any Red Dwarf. And so they've done fuck all in 10 years, basically.
But what I also like about it is the fact that it just gives you the idea of scope of the universe as well. You know, because like there's, you know, you can go 10 years without seeing a single soul.
I went back to Tamworth, my hometown, just before Christmas to meet up with some mates and go out for a meal. And I went for a wander around the town afterwards. And Tamworth was like that the week before Christmas. So, you know, the universe can definitely be like that.
Yeah, so there's decades. So he's been working with these he's been playing with these begs. And we'll just put it out there that the actor that played that role, the wife, is one of the begs.
Amazing. Is back.
Yeah, it's Stephen Wickham, the beg chief, is the same actor.
Yes.
That was...
Not
Yeah,
Was it?
It was.
yeah, the exact same actor that played...
It was.
Just before that, where Lister is sort of trying to get in the airlock,
Yeah.
and Crichton's like, "What are you doing out there?" And he just says, "I'd lost my key."
I'd lost my key. I find that every time I watch it, and the actual bit I find funny is just the hand.
Yeah.
It's just going. It's just like turning his hand like that, just like my key, doing the key gesture because you've lost your key. It's just brilliant. Oh, I lost it this afternoon watching that. It was brilliant.
Whilst that was funny, I'm still laughing at Oh, shit. We used to be vaguely good and analytical at this, and now I've just sat and giggled at nonsense for like 2 minutes.
Nonsense, it's her name.
It's a name. It's the whole. We bow our heads to every single episode.
Become our sign off.
She's
an icon.
She's
We've
an icon.
We've said that 150 times at the end of our episodes by now.
And it's just clicked with Mark. I hadn't got it before.
Yeah. I think I've had one point where Mark's gone, "You do realise that's what we're doing?" Yes, Mark.
My ribs hurt. Stop it.
It's only working at 3 episodes.
Can we talk about bum fans, please? His bum fan? Can we talk about his bum fan? I enjoyed it.
Yes. Crichton's outlet.
I haven't finished the first part yet.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about Crichton talking to Lister in the airlock. I find it a bit weird where he goes, "You mean you lost Starbug in a poker game?" It's like he puts those dots too quickly for me. I don't know. There should be more to it. But again, another mention of trying to find Kachansky.
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't progress finding Kachansky in any way, shape or form. But I guess the whole series of trying to get to Earth, to Fiji, for a dog and a cow and 2 horses or whatever it was.
Bushel.
Yeah, they never get that. It's a bit like Ulysses 41.
31.
Whatever. They never get anywhere closer to that. And Dungeons and Dragons, they never fucking escape. They live there forever and die old.
It's a MacGuffin, is what it is.
Yes, it is.
So just before we get to Crichton and his
bum fan. That bum fan was brilliant.
The accident forms are handed to Lister, and he goes, "I'm not done twatting about with that." And he just chucks the accident forms out into the airlock and then puts them into outer space. I love, again, this is just the microcosm of Crichton. The way Crichton waves goodbye to them. He's like, he just waves. He's like, bye, 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 like that. We see him trying some cutlery.
With
Mark,
his bum fan.
What do you think to his bum fan?
I howled. I absolutely howled with laughter. And it was another pause moment for me. He did it once and I was like, that's funny. He did it twice and I was like, oh, that's really funny. Did it a third time, I was just howling. Absolutely howling. It's just lol farts. And that's about my level of humour. It was so great. That's just, visual gags. They shouldn't do visual gags anymore because everyone's on their fucking phone. But that was great. That was great. I loved it.
I really like the bit where Rimmer learns that he's been lost in a poker game, and Kat has this amazing line. It's we're all deeply sorry, bud, except for me and him and him.
Yeah, that is brilliant. I've got that down on my list as well.
It's great, great line.
Yeah, and when Crichton utilizes the the accident forms, they kind of accidentally end up into outer space. Oh, you mean another accident?
More forms.
The cat thing, the Rimmer thing, it all just really feels like all the characters are exactly the way that they should be.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter that continuity is a bit whatever the fuck. It doesn't really matter that Search for Kachansky is the new Fiji and the only reason they're doing it is because Chloe Annett wouldn't come back. It just feels right. Every single episode of this season has felt right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cat CV is also funny as fuck.
Rimmer leaves a case which will become quite important towards the end of the episode in front of the airlock.
Yes.
And then there's a little bit of ADR, which obviously bearing in mind all the rewrites that they've had to do, you can tell when he's like putting the poster up on the thing that it's a bit of ADR, and then he turns around and walks away. But you're leaving the case on the floor. Obviously, will have major
Chekhov's
implications.
Case.
Yeah, Chekhov's case.
At this point, when they were filming this episode, they were filming this with the studio audience, but the final sort of at least 10 minutes of the episode hadn't been written yet, because they had to change what they originally wanted to do.
Shit. You can't tell. Yeah. It's really good episode.
What I like about Lister and Rimmer in the room is when there's a miscommunication between the two of them. Where they're talking about the fact that, Rimmer thinks that Lister's like sawing his senses and is actually going to fill the accident forms in.
Yeah, it's a classic miscommunication, misunderstanding. Shakespeare fucking did it, but it's still funny.
We find out that he's got a spud exploder connected to him.
The knacker attacker.
The knacker attacker.
I am going to take that and I'm going to find a wrestling maneuver of one of my friends in the wrestling industry and suggest that they call their maneuver the knacker attacker. Probably Priscilla, let's be honest. For those of you that don't know, my housemate is a wrestling drag queen.
Which is the most Mark Adams thing anyone could ever have said. Absolutely perfect.
Well, technically, she just belongs to Pasha like I do. We're not really housemates. We're property of Pasha. Right. But you know what I mean.
Pasha has claimed another.
Yeah. Belongs to Pash.
You know that hymn, because I've finally got to those notes, because you're pulling me in all kind of circles here.
Been for the last episode as well.
It says that me, him, and him. It says, do you not know me? We'll have sex with anything.
Yeah. That's his CV.
Does not cook,
brilliant.
Does not clean. We'll have sex with anything.
Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. My CV's got far too much detail.
The bomb's actually has got the name of where it was made, and it's made at a place called Error. What do you think to? I mean, yes, the rewrites and stuff like that they had to do, but the fact that Error and Irony, is it a bit of a reach?
That bit is, but I mean, wasn't going to mention that till later on because that's right towards the end. But I think this erroneous reasoning thing is absolute. So it's two incorrect theories that combine to be correct. That is an absolute classic Red Dwarf concept. That's up there with the Despair Squid or Future Echoes backwards, that kind of thing. We've not talked about the scene before they find that out, where they go to negotiate with the Begs.
Well, this is what I'm coming to right now. Yeah, so this is where I'm coming to.
Future Hawaii Chewbacca.
He's in this.
Is he?
In this scene?
Sorry, she.
Yeah,
They. Stephen Wickham.
So the Gelf outfits aren't as good as they were in.
Well, they're not
Series 6.
Gelfs. That's why they're Begs.
Because they're Begs.
What?
They're not Gelfs.
They're
They're
Begs.
Begs.
I've only seen this 3 times. They did what now?
They're Begs.
What's the difference?
Biologically engineered garbage gobbler, I think. Basically Gelfs, yeah.
Yeah, they're a genetically engineered life form. If they're
Yeah, they're just a bit more specific. But there's loads of different types of Gelfs. They're not Kinatawawi, which is why they don't look exactly the same as
no, they're not Kinatawawi. No.
When we recorded Emo Hawk, did we say as many times as we have done in this episode?
No.
Probably not, but we probably said it quite a few times.
It's only just dawned on me right this second that the Spoon of Destiny would have been cleaned by Crichton.
With his bum fan?
With his bum fan. That is why it is the Spoon of Destiny. The ship of green and the hologram with the lady legs.
Luscious lady legs.
Luscious lady legs.
And the scented, shiny friend.
There was apparently a longer scene with this where Rimmer actually comes out of character and actually goes back into... So he starts repeating something. And then
yes, because he's
realises
pretending to be mute and
yeah,
basically useless to them, isn't he?
they start talking about, and I did read this somewhere about the Universal Translator, because they said the same with another episode. Colin, you've probably read the same thing I did, but because they were talking about that it seems to be that that we've got this Universal Translator thing going on because the Begs have not been... They only know a little bit of English, but yet how did Lister then play a full poker game with them without actually talking and all that type of thing? So it is intriguing. It doesn't really bother me, to be honest. It's just a sci-fi trope with Red Dwarf. It didn't really
set
concern
up
me
the
at all,
episode
but-
nicely.
Yeah.
Do you need to have the same language to play poker if you know how to play poker?
Don't know, I've never played
You
poker.
could, in theory, play a game of poker with someone who doesn't speak the same language as you because you both know the rules of
Potentially.
poker. But how he knew what he was betting, actually.
Yeah, because he didn't put Starbug and Rimmer in the middle of the table next to a watch and a load of money, did he? Because he'd need a really fucking big table. Plus, Rimmer would have known about that.
Ah, well, who cares? Plot holes can...
Exactly. But they're not
Don't
gonna-
matter as long as it's funny, and it was funny.
Yep.
And they did obviously speak to an English. They thought it was like going, did he go to English boarding
Someone
school?
from an
No,
English
he
boarding
ate. Somebody. But they're not going to choke. They choke? No, they're going to choke. We're not going to choke. Which is great. I just think that whole aspect, again, going back to like the Doctor Who episode, the fact that they're aware of the coincidences about to happen because their emotions are heightened works, because it was always going to happen. It's just the fact that they become aware that it was going to happen.
Which is similar to 2 episodes ago, where you've got the computer predicting what the conversation's going to be, so they don't need to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So it's sort of carrying on from that a little bit, although has no reason to.
And then the next scene, which is still one of my favourite scenes, it's just brilliant. It's like trying to get a cool cat emotionally invested, and Lister's decision is just the best idea
It's
I've ever seen.
savage. It just comes out of nowhere as well.
Yep.
And then the TV pops on screen. So again, going back to the Aldroid thing, this is kind of like a bit Red Dwarf, isn't it? It can that kind of feel to it, the fact that it's written in the stars, like the UFOs in Series 7 and that type of thing. So I do like that. I thought that was brilliant thing, and to actually link it in with the book again, and maybe the space coordinates and stuff like that, which I think worked effectively well.
I love how Rimmer is comfortable in a place where everyone else is wrong. That's just so good.
Well, they call out on that referees, TV critics, and weathermen.
The TV critics was on the fucking nose, wasn't it?
Although they probably were right about Series 8 if they said it was canon.
Yeah, exactly. I quite like the fact that there were 2 computer keyboards stuck on the wall that I think were spray-painted BBC micro keyboards in the lift.
See, I was looking at the other side. There's something that's on the plaque that says something. I didn't have time to write it down, but there's definitely something on the plaque. And I think there was more scenes actually going to be in that element.
Well, this whole section at the end is the bit that they'd not written much of it yet. Basically, the last scene that the studio audience saw was the bit that's in the opening credits with the legs.
Where we speculated why there were legs.
Yes.
Just before we get there, you've got the moment where Rimmer has to change to soft light to go through.
Clever.
Which explained why we saw him in both red and blue suits in the opening credits that we were wondering about.
Yeah, and when he comes out, he does a little shiver, and I'm just wondering if they ran out of money because he doesn't actually change colour. He just stays blue. So I don't know if he was just like sort of doing whatever, but that's fine. Kochanski's apparently 31. Is he thinking that when Kochanski was 31? I mean, it's like...
I mean, he's clearly 50. And they were about the same age. I think she was a little bit younger than him, wasn't she?
But it's more Red Dwarf doesn't need continuity. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. But what I don't understand about that particular thing is why bring that up?
I think it was just for they're describing something to make you think it's a human.
Oh, he's going to make Kochanski.
Yeah.
He's going to turn up.
But what they actually described was a chimpanzee played by... Now, this is where my research went in for this episode, where didn't expect to be researching the career of Peter Elliott, the film industry's primary primate. This guy is basically, if you want someone to act as a monkey in a monkey suit, this is the guy that you get. You
was
want
he
the
in
best.
2001?
No, he wasn't. He's not old enough to have been in 2001. He was in Quest for Fire, which was 1981. So this is a list of movies he's been in, most of them as monkeys or primates. Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, Gorillas in the Mist. Mark, he was in Chimera.
No!
That you loved when you were a kid, that you did an episode
he
of Right in the Childhood.
the kind of monkey half-person thing.
He did.
Fuck me.
He was one of the apes in Congo. In fact, the gorilla expert character in Congo is named Peter Elliott after him.
Amazing.
He was in the 90s remake of The Island of Dr. Moreau. He was in Fierce Creatures. He was in the remake of The Omen. He was in Planet of the Apes.
There's a monkey in The Omen.
There's the bit where they go to the safari park. I'm assuming it's that bit because I've not seen the remake. But yeah, there's that bit in the safari park where all the apes go fucking mental. And he did the ape choreography in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He's in Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh no, he can get in the sea.
And he's Bolo from the Mighty Boosh.
Oh.
He is Bolo from the Mighty Boosh, the gorilla.
Oh. Wow.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
I just don't like that he was a wheeler.
No,
Have you seen Return to Oz? Fuckety fuck! It is the stuff of childhood nightmares.
Yes, it was the stuff of my sister's nightmares. I always thought it was all right.
The wheelers though, man. Oh,
it was Princess Mumby that she really didn't like.
I didn't like her, but I really, really didn't like the wheelers. Scary as fuck.
And at the time that we watched it, my teacher the following year at school was called Mrs. Mumby. So she used to get called Princess Mumby all the time.
That's very cool, Colin. I'm delighted with this information.
Okay, well, thanks for that. That is very cool.
Peter Elliott, what a fucking legend.
After trying to sort everything out with the monkey, that we do eventually get to meet Irene Edgington. She's naked.
Yes.
The best thing about this is exactly how I'd have reacted, is exactly how Crichton reacted.
There was a bit of 2012 ick. Rimmer being a little bit too...
I like that, though, because I like I think the dichotomy of Lister and Rimmer works, because it's kind of like, all right, he's being a bit seedy, but at the same time, Lister's going, I'll go and cover up, and it's like, what you doing? So for me, I don't perceive that as bad, because I think it's been done that. I think it's done for effect.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, I don't think it's...
I think if it was one of your mates doing it, though, you'd have a fucking word, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's certainly nothing like what we may have seen in the past.
Oh, God, yeah, it wasn't Crikey TV
it's
level.
okay.
Yeah. I did really like that when she then properly appeared, her glasses were upside down all the way through.
Oh, yeah. Nice touch.
She mentions the guitar case, not the guitar.
Yes. She thought it was a saxophone.
She thought it was a saxophone, and they said, no, it's a guitar case. Not the guitar, because the guitar is currently in space.
It is. His dad put it in space, didn't he?
Yeah. And then we go through the whole rigmarole of the ending, where it's like the beta, delta, theta, gamma stuff.
Irene's a fun character, and in a weird way, it reminded me of the I always tell the truth and I always lie thing from Labyrinth.
Labyrinth is definitely one we need to do, because we talked about doing a minute podcast about Labyrinth, and it never did it. That should be Christmas.
Shall we do Labyrinth for Christmas?
Yes,
Labyrinth.
because Danny John Jules is in it.
Yes.
Fuck yes, that's our Christmas. We are announcing it now. Christmas special 2024 is fucking Labyrinth.
Oh, hell yes.
Yes, it is. I watch that every Christmas anyway, so I'm just going to watch it twice this year.
You don't have to wait till Christmas. It's
yeah.
not a Christmas film. It's amazing.
Kate McFadden did the choreography as well.
Yeah, Charles Huggins.
Let's just get it watched.
Yeah, man.
Again.
You remind me of the Babe.
What babe?
Babe with the power.
What power?
The power of voodoo.
Hoodoo.
You remind me of the Babe. Anyway, Queeg shows up.
He does.
In Labyrinth, yes. Anyway, Sydney Stevenson shows up as Irene. Yeah, I really liked her character. Her short-lived character.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he mentions the Protocol 121 again, does Rimmer, and then you get this whole thing, and I know the timings change quite a bit in the actual bomb exploder, but on reading I think it was Tongue Tied, where it's like, actually remember it's actually created by error, so it wouldn't be a machine that would count down properly.
Yeah, it makes sense, because there were certain bits where you could see that it had got to zero.
Yeah,
sort of earlier on.
And from the sounds of it, they're doing this flying by the seat of the pants, so you can understand why they did that. But as I say, with it being the error machine anyway, it doesn't really matter. You can just call that down to what it is. As I say, the reaching element, it says, here's a coincidence. It's like, what if her name is Irene E?
It was also weirdly tense. I mean, maybe it's because I'm quite fond of my Joy department, but it really did feel quite tense, and Craig Charles sold it. Like, he had his knackers in a vice.
It was Future Echoes again, wasn't it? It was the countdown to whether or not he gets blown up in the drive room.
Mm.
Yes, you're right.
And as well, the fact that they actually do get him to go into the room, and take him out of the side, say, no, you've got to go back there. And the fact that, like, Lister just goes, no, do what she says, go with what she says. It's like, all right, okay, because they've got to rely on that coincidence thing. So if they're aware of it and they're the ones saying, wouldn't it be ironic if that does happen? Because they're aware of it, you've got to go with that. And I think it's a good way to get out of that bind. Rimmer has done all right for himself. Hollership, he did all right. Irene was definitely, like, up for it.
Yeah,
she was up for it.
Sex.
She was some sex. Yes.
She was up for some.
Oh my god! Why are we going back to like CX?
I mean, it's another bit that they could add into the absolute waste of time article that was in one of the magazines, where they just listed all of the women that had, Arnold Rimmer had ever interacted with in any way.
But yeah, bless him. He was like, would it be wrong for us to make love on the first date? It's like, no, I think that'd be fine. And no, the thing is that we haven't really mentioned about it, but Rimmer things like going, no, I like it here. This feels right for me. I don't think you're right, Crichton. All that kind of thing. And then obviously with her going, and I love the silent types, the brave, strong silent types. I won't say a word.
And then just a horrific, callous death. It's great. Another great way to end an episode, like last week's episode as well. Just brilliant. Brilliant.
It's like, yes, because Rimmer's been going on and on about him getting to do the accident forms. He's caused the accident himself by putting that box down there, so he should have been more attentive to that. The fact that he's killed everyone on Red Dwarf, and now he's got an opportunity to make a really good life for himself with somebody that he actually is really attracted to, and she's really attracted to him. And the fact that she falls through, and then not only that, it's like when they're both, fair to Lister, both going, don't press that button. And she's like, all right, okay. You don't see her do it, but it's like, okay, yeah. I'm going to press that button. It's like, oh, no, okay. And as I say, just the way Lister just perfectly sets that lineup of, have you got a pen? Callous, man, callous.
Just great.
Anything from yourselves then, Colin? Anything else that you like to bring up?
I have run out of notes.
Wow. And we've been going for 50 minutes. This is incredible.
A good... almost a third of my notes were about Peter Elliott.
Worth it. I just loved it. It's another episode that I've loved, and I think everything just hit the right notes. Every character is the way they should be, and fucking hell.
We'll wrap it up for this week. Next week we're going to have Carl with us.
We are.
So that'll be good. Colin, how have you found the 2 episodes and season 10 overall?
Loved it. Really, really glad that we've, got to discover it rather than just randomly checking it out, on the telly in 3 years' time or something. I've really liked the process of us going through it all and then me and Mark watching it for the first time with everyone else. It's been a really nice way to discover it, and it's been great.
You're saying it's been a good idea for me to continually tell you not to watch it?
Yes,
is that what you're trying to tell me?
It actually has. Well done.
Okay, thank you.
As much as it sucked for 2 years, I actually agree with him.
But I think now we've got to this bit, it won't be too long until we get to the next few, and then we'll have caught up. We've got two more series and a special, basically, haven't we, so far?
Well, behind the scenes, we have to start thinking about Red Dwarf 11 to watch, so we can do that. So that should be good to do that and see how we get on with that, and hopefully it'll be a good rewatch for me and Matt, and I'm sure yourselves will love watching it, because there is some great moments. Don't get me wrong, there is some really good moments in both 11 and 12. So
I mean, there's a Rimmer's Barber quartet heading that way. That's got to be a good thing, right?
Yeah. I will not relay any more information about 11 or 12, unlike what I did last week. But yeah, that was a bit of a slip up on my part. I apologise for that. But
yeah, it was.
To be fair,
Botched
all
it.
I've said is that polymorph. I haven't said anything else about the
story.
story.
I'd forgotten that there was a polymorph in it. That means it's
again.
A double spoiler.
Whatever.
Botched it.
I can't even remember when it was. So, I don't even know if it's in Red Dwarf 11 or not. We'll have to see. Yeah.
Turns out it was in 6 and he's talking about Emo Hawk polymorph.
No, was definitely in Series 6.
Yes, Emo Hawk polymorph 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Colin, where can people find you online?
Got 2 other podcasts, Weirdig Music and Free with this month's issue. You can find them both on weirdingpodcast.com.
I'm at Mark Adams HC on Twitter and Instagram, and I have another podcast about Chucky and Child's Play. That is at Chucky Vision on Twitter. Like Colin's stuff, like my stuff, search for there. names if you want to listen to that shit on whatever you listen to this shit.
Excellent. You can find me on Linktree, linktr.e/r Muldrake. It's RMULDRAKE. You can do the same for Make It So, and you can also do the same for The Magic Box Pod, which is my new Lost podcast, which is a bit more of a multimedia thing. Got some videos on there on my Patreon as well. So please feel free to come over and join me as I celebrate the 20th anniversary of the pilot of Lost. But until next time...
That's where you can find your Lost podcast.
That's where you can find my Lost podcast, yes.
LOL.
Well done. Well done. But until next time, it is time for me to say, for the 50,000th time this episode,
Umbala scoundrel.
You know what's tricky sometimes? Predicting who is going to win at the Oscars. You have to get yourself to a cinema to see all of the movies, or at least have all the streaming services so you don't miss a single one. You have to pay attention to all the precursor awards to see who is winning so far. The Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, they're the pretty obvious ones. But don't forget the Critics' Choice Awards, or the SAGs, or the DGAs, or the PGAs, or the Eddies, or the Gothams, or the AFI Top 10, or the National Board of Review. Ugh, exhausting, right? Or you can just join me for Academy Watch on the We Made This Podcast network. I'm the host, Bo Nicholson, and I've been reading the trends, keeping the stats, and watching as many of the films as humanly possible, and I can tell you who the big players will be on the big night. Me and a guest will also be dissecting one of the key movies in the award season each episode. This year, it looks like Oppenheimer's to lose in several categories, including Best Picture. But can a mid-year release maintain momentum right to a Best Picture victory 2 years in a row? Or can Poor Things or The Holdovers stage a late season surge to steal the prize? Is it too early to discount the cultural phenomenon that was Barbie? Or Martin Scorsese's late career masterpiece, Killers of the Flower Moon? And what about the critical darling Past Lives? Whatever the movements are across the various precursors and throughout the season, you'll have the best available information if you subscribe to Academy Watch, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Shipwrecked and Comatose, a Red Dwarf podcast, was created and produced by Mark Adams and Kurt North. You can find us on Twitter at Red Dwarf Pod, and we are part of the We Made This Podcast network, which can be found online at wemadethispod.com or on Twitter at We Made This Pod.